I will set the zeitgeist straight.
The movie has too much of the cast in it.
I'd buy that for $1.
Coen Brothers' latest is a big let-down scheme.
I hate you for making me hear that.
I need a brain, I need a heart, I need courage, I need a refund. Like, what are you talking about? I want to square off on this guy at a dinner party.
The music was thick.
So far, you have not dazzled me. I'm just letting you know. Welcome to Off the Mark, good chat on bad takes of great movies. I'm Dave Columbo.
Oh, righty then. I'm Mick Andrews.
Very, very good. This is a podcast where we riff through the worst reviews of the best movies ever made. And Mick over here had a fabulous idea to do a triple header of classic Jim Carrey movies. Not his first movies, by the way. Like look at his IMDb. He had bit parts in a ton of things. But in 1994, suddenly Hollywood was like, let's give this kid a shot. And
yeah, 3 times over. It's
unreal.
I
mean, looking at the timeline, it's absolutely unreal. So we're going to get into it in a second, but we're reading through some shitty reviews for Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, the 3 movies that Jim Carrey had release in 1994. I mean, before we get into kind of like what Jim Carrey must have been going through, what did these movies mean to you? Because you're a little younger than me. I remember going to see them all in the theater. I remember it being schoolyard, literally overnight. Everybody's doing the talking out of your butt. Like it just happened.
Yeah. So the summer of 94, which I think is when the first movie came out of these 3, I was 3. So,
okay.
So I don't remember these as like a movie going experience. These were classic and constant blockbuster rentals for me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, as a kid, Stop What You're Doing, The Mask is on cable kind of movies.
So it must have been a later experience where you found out that they were all 3 the same year. I found that out like a year or 2 ago. Wow. Yeah.
I found that out very recently, and it blew me away that this is exactly like if someone sold their soul or found a genie's lamp, this is the kind of year you'd expect them to have.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable that 3 of the core movies of my childhood came out in the same year. But to that point, I mean, I was a huge Jim Carrey fan as a little kid.
Yeah, he spoiled me for other comedy actors because I was right at the age where I was starting to get into things and go to see movies and kind of be a part of the pop culture phenomenon. And I had watched him on In Living Color even before this, even before his movie career. And so I kind of, my whole life, I always just kind of like knew Jim Carrey was there and was like, some comedy actors are literally made of elastic and are making insane choices. And it only was like years later where I kind of realized, your Adam Sandler's and all of the other people who kind of came up and tried to do the same thing. Your Will Ferrell's, where it's like, let's do a bunch of movies with this one comedic actor, where it's like, no. He was the only one who was chewing the scenery that hard every scene for every movie.
That year was, I think, it set the tone for a lot of those subsequent people too. Will Ferrell obviously has a different style, but they went to school on Jim Carrey's throw here, I think, in the sense of like, find 3 movies that fit this guy perfect and just like build around these parts. Build around the star.
Do you have a favorite of the 3 of Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber?
I think Dumb and Dumber, just because it's the one I've seen the most. It's the one I enjoy. I just like it the most. I think Jeff Daniels is also like a great.
He's so good.
There's such a good. It's one thing to have Jim Carrey being, completely over the top, but to have somebody else next to him kind of matching that energy is really fun, especially because uh, I saw Jeff Daniels in Speed before I saw him in Dumb and Dumber. And
Mhm.
so I always was blown away that, like, oh, drama guys can do comedy, comedy guys can do drama. It's just about whether or not you're funny. And like, yeah, that movie is just phenomenal.
I think that one of the reasons the success that he had the success that he did in this year of movies was because, like, first one is by the numbers raunchy mid 90s comedy. Just go and have fun and do whatever the hell you want. Like, nobody's taking it seriously. Nobody thinks this is going to be anything. So go have a blast. The second one is, let's take this guy and let's make him a cartoon. He wants to be a cartoon. Let's do live action The Genie from Aladdin. Every reference you want to do, like boom. And then for the third one, okay, now let's have you being you, but playing against a friend. So you get to share the load a little bit and see how you interact with another actor. I think that was like, nothing got too stale because they were three very different adventures that we were watching.
Yeah, they're all different and he's uniquely qualified to play these characters.
Mhm.
Like, I genuinely cannot think of another person who should or could handle these roles or do them the way that he did. Like, Ace Ventura is just not funny with him not in that role. Now, there are some people I found who did not find it funny, period. But it's not funny to anybody if it's not him doing it. So
Right.
like, that is, an essential element to it. Same with The Mask. I genuinely, like, who could, like, physically, who could play that part?
Oh, I've got a list of the people that shout before we even jump in. So before Jim Carrey was cast, here were the people that were the rumor mill: Nicolas Cage, Matthew Broderick, Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, Martin Short, Keanu Reeves, Mike Myers, John Ritter, and Robin Williams were considered.
John Ritter?
There's a parallel universe right now where we're sitting here talking on this podcast, talking about
Simple Rules, John Ritter.
We're talking about John Ritter's The Mask.
Oh, good God.
Can somebody please Photoshop John Ritter's face? Yeah. I mean, phenomenal comic actor.
Yeah, but not
the mask. Yeah, yeah. Shall we jump in here to
let's
do our first of three?
Let's do it to it. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective came out in, I think
it was February,
March. Yeah, early February. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the other things that it was directly competing with, sorry, for like February, March area, was D2 The Mighty Ducks.
Oh.
Major League 2, Four Weddings and a Funeral. Yeah.
Can I tell you how wired I am to D2 The Mighty Ducks? You just said that, and in my head I went, it is knuckle puck time. It hasn't gone anywhere. Ask me what I had for dinner tonight, and I'll be like, but like, ask me to just recount Mighty Ducks trivia, and I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like, it's just
Bash
crazy.
Bros. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Total gross of $72 million. 15 million budget.
God,
made $72 million.
$15 million it took to change every boy on the playground's body chemistry to just do nothing but quote Jim Carrey for years. That's all it cost.
Mm-hmm. 15 million. Just an entire generation of boys
completely changed.
Seeing if they can get their hair to stand up vertically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's 72, by the way, 72 domestic. Total box office is 107 million.
Nice. All right.
Crushed it. But there are some who disagree. This is from the Sydney Morning Herald, Thursday, May 5th, 1994. Take one try-hard TV comic, feed him a solid diet of Jerry Lewis and Steve Martin.
I hate this already. I hate this so
I
much.
picked this one because I knew it would be a shot right across the bow of Dave.
Like you want to talk try hard? Like I love. We'll get into it, but I love the reviewers who are going to shit on a movie and probably talk about bad writing in the form of the worst written review you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, no, you're gonna get that. You know how we always see the ones that are like, it's great if you're a computer nerd or something like that. That has none of this. That does not recognize that this is a movie for, adolescent to young adult boys, which is frankly like, or anyone who enjoys that kind of humor. This is for the Austin Powers people before there was an Austin Powers movie. That's what this is appealing to, is like 12 to 21. Like,
can you name a movie before this that you would put in this genre? I mean, like 80s screwball comedies kind of don't fit. Like I don't think of this as a Caddyshack or an Animal House. Like this kind of did create the template for comedic actor powerhouse lead vehicle, dominating vehicle for them to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. My first thought was Police Academy, but that's more Animal House than it is Ace Ventura.
It's an ensemble cast.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. If something else was in this style that came before it, it certainly wasn't nearly as successful. I would argue, didn't do it nearly as well. But
but I even feel like even as a kid, when this came out, I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is. Mm-hmm. Like I know that this is an excuse for him to be goofy, and he fucking nailed it. Like I'm how old was I? I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. The first 10 minutes of the movie where he was dressed up as the delivery man and he can't stop kicking the boxes down and you just hear the glass shattering the whole time. It just hit me so perfectly.
Yep. And let's take a moment to appreciate I'm 11. The woman wants to thank him for bringing back her dog. She lowers herself under the frame, and I do not know what's happening under there. I have no idea. I know something's happening, and I know it's a good thing. But I'm going to write this in my little Captain America notebook. Like find out what this is later.
Determined, yeah.
So many. We'll get to it, but that's also how I felt about hemorrhoids. I'm like, at the end of the movie, I'm like, hemorrhoids. Yeah. Find out what that is.
I remember that one going way over my head and being like, yeah. I'm sure someone will explain that to me at some point in my life. What that reference is. Take one try hard TV comic. Feed him a solid diet of Jerry Lewis and Steve Martin. Hand him a script reliant on rear-end humor. And you, too, can rake in $72 million at the box office. The inane plot for this made-for-dullards social disaster sees Ace Ventura, pet detective, called in to investigate the kidnapping of Snowflake, a bottlenose dolphin and mascot of the Miami Dolphins. The rest is all padding.
Okay, well, I don't even know where to start. Like, as you were talking, my mind drifted to this reviewer, like, going home to his family, and it's literally like a 1950s serial about best practices for preparing the house for when dad gets home. And it's like, don't have, unquestionable conversations at the dinner table. Like,
eye contact is to be discouraged.
Right. Does this person have no idea that there's something outside. What am I talking about? Of course, we've done enough of these to know that, like, someone watching Jurassic Park going like, how could this appeal to anybody? And it's like, I don't know, because not everybody's you.
Yeah, that's precisely what this is. And it's going to be that the whole way down, buddy.
Because there's a way to have a debate where it's to go like, what's really happening to society where this is appealing to this many people, or like even kids should seek a higher standard of like get into it, like dig into like what you want to see, what movies do this. Like there's so many ways that you could talk about it rather than just like they're all wrong.
Dave, you just said doo-doo, and I'd appreciate it if you refrained from that rear end humor.
Thank you very much.
We we over here at the Sydney Morning Herald do not take kindly to that kind of rear end humor.
Another point, the reviewer mentions like how easy it is. Like they insinuate that like, you know, oh, if you all you got to do is this, and then you too could do it. The one thing you can't say is that this was easy, because what Jim Carrey is doing, you may not like it, you may not find it funny, but you have to acknowledge that not one moment is wasted, not one joke is left on the table. Every second, when he walks into the fancy dinner party scene and just grabs the cellist's arm while they're playing, just to be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff happening every single second. Every new thought that Ace Ventura has is a different character, is a different mindset, and it only goes to the moon with the mask. Like, yeah. What you're watching in Ace Ventura is somebody who is working extremely hard.
What he does might not be your favorite thing, but he's doing that thing at the absolute top of its level. Like every line delivery is a different kind of persona, take, character, whatever you want to call it. But the rest is all padding, other than the fact that he investigates the kidnapping of Snowflake the dolphin. I paused there and just had a little like, like, honestly, there are plenty of comedies I'm sure this person would love with less of a structured plot than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The plot's in the name, pet detective. There's a pet related mystery. Like, that's all you need for a character vehicle. Like, that's all you need.
This is maybe a weird comparison, but like Monty Python, you get the feeling that their movies are like, we wanted an excuse to do this sketch. Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy, like, we wanted to do this sketch. We wanted to do this sketch, and what's the loose way that we can get to something that would allow us to do this sketch? Ace Ventura, it's all still within the framework of the plot. Mm-hmm. The plot needs him to solve how the guy was murdered by falling off the edge. So he walked in on the day and figured out, I'm going to scream while moving the sliding glass door. I'm going to go, yes, I have exercised the team. Like, whatever it is that he's doing, like, I am going to, when he's trying to find Snowflake at the fancy dinner party, and he does the Mission Impossible thing where he jumps on the wall, which was my favorite part when I was a kid, just the overdoing it with like the crawling across.
And he has the arm swing. That's so
insane. But like, it's all within, you could tell that it's like, here's what the scene needs. Now let's figure out 30 jokes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And no, I don't think that it's a weird comparison. I think of Ace Ventura. I don't know if I'd say it's, in fact, I know I wouldn't say it's on par with Monty Python, but it's definitely scratching the same itch. It's definitely going for that same group of people who are just looking for silliness. Like that, and that silliness as an end of itself is fine and good. Like, that's what if a comedy makes you laugh, it is a successful movie. This movie poses the big questions. Is flatulence funny? Are women's bodies fair game for ridicule? Can the deliberate and histrionic deployment of facial disfigurement displace the spectator's desire for psychological realism? Questions far too weighty to be done justice here.
He wants Remains of the Day is what he wants. He wants Remains of the Day, but a comedy is what he wants. Okay. I'm sorry.
Can the deliberate and histrionic deployment of facial disfigurement displace the just get out of your own asshole. Like,
yeah.
He's got a rubbery face full of facial expressions. The spectator's desire for psychological realism. There's a reason that they advertise movies. It's not so that you walk into Ace Ventura thinking you're gonna get like Training Day. Like, whoever walks into this does not have a desire for psychological realism.
Exactly.
So nobody's asking for it.
I forgot, like, in this whole time that we've been doing this podcast, I forgot, like, movie trailers exist. Yeah. It literally almost negates every single argument that these reviewers have ever made, which is like, how dare it not be this other thing? Nobody came who was expecting it to be the other thing.
That. No one was looking for that at all.
I completely forgot that, like, even in the 80s and 90s, would you like to see Jim Carrey get in your car, put some pants on, and bring $5, and you can watch Jim Carrey?
I do like this paragraph as well because it says this movie poses the big questions, lists all these fairly biased questions, and then goes, these questions are far too weighty to be done justice here. These questions are far too weighty. Is flatulence funny? I really do think this movie answers that either affirmatively or negatively for
it. Actually answered
the individual viewer. I think that that is accomplished in this movie. Are women's bodies fair game for ridicule? I think that this is something you and I talked about previously, but this is where I was like, this movie has a
100%. Even when I was 11 and I was watching this movie in the theater, when he realizes that Finkel is Einhorn, and he runs into the shower and cries to the Crying Game soundtrack because, like, he kissed a man.
Yeah.
This idea of, like, that's worth in a fetal position crying in a shower.
And then the whole gum 11. Thing where they're eating like 80 packs of gum to like.
I don't have any context for like sexuality and what even I believe or what I have not made my decisions yet. Mm-hmm. And even I was kind of going like, it's a little homophobic.
This is pretty, yeah.
Like even then, because it's so heavy-handed.
There's a huge portion of like schoolboy humor in this that, like we've said, talking out of your butt and all that stuff does, I think, in the early 90s go hand in hand with, the times were not as accepting or open as they are now, where, not to say that like, think these problems are solved by any stretch, but I think that society in general has matured on this point. So like, it doesn't really, the third act or the second act twist is not really like,
no, it's not good.
Back to the article. This next line you're gonna love.
Oh God.
Jim Carrey, it would seem, is Ace Ventura. My condolences to his loved ones.
Okay, now here's my question. If you're watching somebody's first leading role and they're very natural at it, how do you know that this is who he must be in real life? You don't know that. He's just really, really good at this. He's also really good at Fire Marshal Bill. He's also really good at being the character in The Mask and Lloyd Christmas. And it's like, you don't know that yet. I guess I'm just frustrated.
I get. It's also just like, what about him playing this character makes you think that this is what he's like? Like, in contrast to every other actor who plays a role, Like,
Oh yeah, because Jerry Lewis really lost himself in every role he
you know
played.
what I mean? Yeah, like Jerry Lewis, it would seem, is the absent-minded professor. My condolences to his loved ones. The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
He's an actor in a comedy movie. Ace himself is pure hyperbole, though what his character is mocking remains obscure. And you're gonna love this one. This one is like a real like, ooh, the minute he finished writing it, or they finished writing it. An idiot savant who is more idiotic than savvy. Ace delivers his just mwah.
Oh, they wrote that and looked up and just took a sip of coffee.
I've earned my paycheck today. Just also the juxtaposition of that sentence, like 2 sentences after, literally saying, like, your loved ones must fucking hate you. It's so jarring.
Yeah, when they get personal, it's
so
always so
personal,
weird.
And then going like, an idiot savant who's a tad more idiotic than savvy.
Remember we read that review for The Thing, and it's like, John Carpenter is a fucking piece of shit. If I saw him
garbage
at a dinner party, I will fucking fight him. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, I guess we shouldn't see The Thing.
Special effects were fine, though. Not remotely as funny as Wayne's World. Far fewer gags than any Naked Gun chapter. More scatological references than a week of Carry On reruns. As many dumb faces and as much slapstick as the Three Stooges. But again, nowhere near the laughs.
Yeah, if you can't appreciate that every kid on the playground immediately bent over and started talking out of their butt.
Right.
If you can't appreciate that that's what's going to happen, if you're walking by a TV and Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura is on TV and you're an alien, you're going to turn around and watch and see what's going on.
Yeah.
You're going to follow, and you're probably not going to turn it away. You're not going to turn it off or change the channel because there's so much happening every second. When he does the reverse thing, let's see that in instant replay. Yeah. Every kid was like, oh, we can do that. Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I really think case in point of how important this movie was is just, I don't know, maybe not everyone would agree with me on this, but I really feel like Austin Powers is what you get when the guy who made Wayne's World watches Ace Ventura.
Absolutely.
And decides to make a James Bond movie. That's
absolutely.
Its influence
and that's why
on the rest of comedy for the 90s is, I think, undeniable. Ace Ventura is puerile, brain-numbing, and forgettable. For all the brouhaha about animals, they are quite a sideline to the plot and feature in only a few scenes. Like the animals, the supporting cast isn't required to do more than take orders.
There wasn't enough animals.
Where were all the animals?
I was promised animals.
When I walk into a pet detective movie, I expect there to be some pets. The once alluring Sean Young moves further down market after the spoof Fatal Instinct to become merely the butt of abusive sexist humor. Sure, she's got a great body, but the way Ace rips her clothes off to give the audience a vicarious perv is in the worst of taste and merely testifies to the ugly hands behind the wheel.
Okay. You can't be like puerile, juvenile, sexist humor. I mean, sure, she's got a rockin' bod, but like you can't in the same sentence.
Same for a mildly amusing dig at the Crying Game, which is played endlessly to the point of rampant homophobia. To be expected, that part I agree with.
I agree.
To be expected, I suppose, from a director/screenwriter who used to write gags for Bob Hope.
Is that true?
I suppose. I feel like that's another element of like, look at how I did my research.
Or is it hyperbole where it's like, this is the kind of thing that you'd get from the Jackie Gleason hour? Like, what are you? Okay.
And just what is the rapper Tone Loc doing loitering on movie sets?
He's got a part in the movie. Fuck you.
Whatever it is, it certainly isn't acting. I just loved. We're on definitely on the back nine of this review. I love that Tone Loc got more ink in this review than Courtney Cox did.
Yeah.
No reference whatsoever to her playing a really good straight man to Jim Carrey in this.
The unsung heroes in Hollywood that are the wife character in movies starring goofy screwball 90s comedy guys, the acting required to exist in a world where somebody would be married to Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. The work. Cameron Diaz's first movie is The Mask. Mm-hmm. She is watching him reference Clint Eastwood and going, and she's crushing it.
Yeah.
It is the unsung heroes of Hollywood that are the actors playing the wives and love interests. The love interest in Tommy Boy, where he's just I want to like kill that guy, and she's like,
she's like, oh, Tommy.
Yeah, it's that is acting,
and it works. They sell it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, 100%.
Courtney Cox I believe that Courtney Cox fell in love with Ace Ventura.
Yeah, I do. You're right. I buy that by the end of this movie, which is insane.
Yeah. That's crazy.
100%. And because this is early, like I feel like it works in the 90s, and then there are a lot of movies where it just does not work at all. The Waterboy. I do not buy what's her face as a love interest for Bobby Boucher. I do not feel like there's a world, not to knock on a specific movie, but like it starts to, like, the ones who do it right, it's commendable to ground this movie or ground that character in a place where it's like, yeah, you can act like this and get the girl. It's insane.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Carrey got his break on the hit TV show In Living Color, and he has another hit in this, his first starring role. The bad news is, therefore, it's not his last. An Ace Ventura sequel now seems inevitable, but before Carrey has just secured a reported $7 million to appear in his next film with the working title Dumber and Dumber, need we say more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. And we will get to that shortly. You should not be reviewing movies if you can't see what Ace Ventura is and at least acknowledge you know exactly what you're getting.
Yep.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it.
This movie,
yeah,
it did. You see everything on the label.
Brutal.
I mean, just
okay.
Hawaiian shirt and striped pants with the boots. Like, you know this character immediately, and I don't know. I always say this, but there are just people who are like, this movie is not what I thought this movie should be, or why isn't it this other movie? And it's like,
because it isn't.
Because it's not that movie. It's play the ball where it lies. Appreciate it for what it is. You can say it's not for you. You're not being fair to a movie that's clearly going for silliness for the sake of it. That's really the point of this movie, is to just be silly and fun, as is most of Jim Carrey in '94.
All right, so let's move on to The Mask, because that was fascinating. So here's what was interesting. He made, I don't know what he made for Ace Ventura, but he made $450,000 for The Mask.
Okay.
Because Ace Ventura hadn't been released yet.
Right. Okay.
And then he made $7 million for Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. So that's incredible to make that kind of a leap in pay in a year.
Huge jump.
So the budget of The Mask was $23 million. It made $351 million worldwide.
Whoa.
Released on July 29th, 1994. It opened number one ahead of Forrest Gump, True Lies, The Client, and The Lion King. So here we go. The Mask, Entertainment Weekly, August 5th, 1994. Halfway through The Mask, I began to understand, well, okay, a little bit, why Jim Carrey is a movie star.
I hate you for writing like that.
Yeah. It took you halfway through The Mask to figure it out. Jim Carrey is a kind of flyweight Robin Williams with a face as elastic as his rubbery physique. Surprisingly handsome, at least for someone who has yet to outgrow fart jokes. His sexy elfin features have a way of melting.
Shut the fuck up. Is this real?
Yeah.
Sexy elfin features.
Let's spend the first paragraph really needs to be about how sexy Jim Carrey is despite the fart jokes. His sexy elfin features have a way of melting into stylized clown shapes, especially when his lips curl back into that son of Richard Nixon leer. Is that really the best?
I genuinely
description of his face.
Son of Richard Nixon leer. I honestly, this is one of those where it's like the reviewer is probably in his 70s. There's no alternative to these references, but like I know what Richard Nixon looks like, and I can't try. The other thing too is it's not helpful when you try to be over descriptive about like or flowery in your language when you're describing a Jim Carrey face, because the man can pull off literally any face he wants. Mm-hmm. I have no clue what you're talking about when you say that his lips curl back into a leer. Like just don't bother. Like don't do that. Like
again, remember this is trying to tell you whether or not you should go see The Mask in theaters.
Go see The Mask, yeah.
At his worst, he can simply be obnoxious. The back of the class goofball who won't keep quiet until he's gotten a laugh out of you. At his best, though, Carrey, like a postmodern cousin of the Three Stooges, has a gift for pushing idiocy over the line into manic delirium. Earlier this year, I considered joining the I Panned Ace Ventura support group for out-of-touch movie critics. In truth, though, the film's popularity wasn't all that mysterious. Yeah, I like this. In truth, the film's popularity wasn't all that mysterious. This was a comedy beloved by kids who perceived in Ace's "you gotta love me" grins and preening camp sarcasm an adorable problem child trapped in an adult's lanky body. Wow, you just nailed it.
Holy shit.
In that first review that could not even begin to imagine. I really wish
this reviewer spoke to that reviewer. Yeah.
The trouble with the film, some of us out of junior high at any rate, was that it failed to provide Carrey with a comic structure for his routines. He was the whole damn show like a guy doing shtick in his agent's office. False. That movie was nothing but a comic structure for his routines.
I don't even know what that means. I'm not trying to be dumb, like, or
I think they're saying that like the movie didn't work as a way to showcase his talents. No. Yeah. The Mask is pretty thin stuff as well. A rattletrap Jekyll and Hyde farce that surrounds Carrey with a nothing plot and a cast of supporting ciphers, generic thug, generic cop, generic sexpot, etc. The filmmakers never quite succeed in making The Mask seem a true expression of Stanley's hidden self. A cleverer script would have woven him into the action hero, allowing him to live out Stanley's romantic night world fantasies. It does.
Doesn't? It does not do that?
It does.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Instead, he simply shows up every so often for another nut brain set piece. When he leaves, the movie deflates. So, like, they're saying that, like, I guess the Stanley stuff doesn't coincide with the Mask character. Like, we're not watching enough of Stanley's arc while we're watching The Mask. Yeah, because The Mask is a fucking psychopath.
He's a bank robbing murderer.
I think the filmmakers rightly knew, let's show Stanley watching cartoons and then everything else is fine.
Yeah, that's in his mind, is that Hanna-Barbera or that Tex Avery style kind of like slapstick cartoonishness is the like soul of the it's also just to miss the idea that like the Mask is the side of Stanley that is confident and capable and all the things that he's not. That's like one of those things where it's just like this reviewer must have started looking down at their phones like in the transitions. Like, yeah, you perk up when the Mask is on screen, but like it's very clear in this movie that like Stanley is in love with, I forget Cameron Diaz's character's name, but like he sees her before they meet in the club. And like the Mask is all the things Stanley can't be. I mean, the ending of the movie is about that. The ending of the movie is him going, I don't need it. That's the whole point.
No, first of all, I love that in 1994, movie reviewers are staring down at their rotary phones in their laps in the movie theater. But like, yeah, like I understand that it wasn't enough for you, but to say that the movie falls apart is missing, again, just like Ace Ventura, not a second is wasted. And now, not just is it just Jim Carrey grinning to the camera, it's CG. It's cartoony effects to play out the fantasy that he's imagining and that he's playing up. Guns, like when he's the carnival barker, like all the stuff, any prop that he needs, anything that he wants. When the cops yell freeze, he actually freezes. That's what the movie is.
Or when he takes the drink in the holes, I think you missed me. Or like, guess not. Like, that's great. It's the CG enhances the Jim Carrey-ness of it 100%.
This hurts, this part. It doesn't help that Carrey lacks presence in the Stanley scenes. False. False. Yeah, he shows later on, like Eternal Sunshine style, that he can do dramatic acting, like he can really crush that. But I have what you're seeing as him as Stanley in the scenes where he is not the Mask. There is nothing wrong with his performance. Yeah. There is nothing. It's a little green. He's a young man, but there's nothing that you don't see in any other movie that needs that kind of character.
No, he's fine.
His caricature of a nerd is almost too masochistic to enjoy. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's just a dude.
What does that mean?
He's a dude. I wish, too, that the Mask himself had been given funkier dialogue. That is, fewer fortune cookie hipsterisms like, you can't make the scene if you don't have the green. Still, thanks to Carrey, the Mask scenes are rowdy and enjoyable, like Gonzo production numbers. They give you a charge. This drives me crazy when reviewers are giving a bad review, but they say, the scenes are enjoyable.
Yeah. Strung together, I enjoyed myself for the last hour.
That drives me so crazy. Because we see that a lot where it's like, yes, I laughed a couple dozen times, so it was a good comedy. No, I hated it.
Yeah. Wait, can you just reread the first part of that sentence one more time?
His caricature of a nerd is almost too masochistic to enjoy. I wish, too, that the Mask himself had been given funkier dialogue. That is, fewer fortune cookie hipsterisms like, you can't make the scene if you don't have the green. Still,
that's the part that caught me. I'm like, because again, the movie is very clear that the Mask as a character is built on cartoons. It's like Yeah, he speaks almost exclusively in catchphrases because, like,
Yeah, sorry,
that's how
it's not.
it's cartoony.
Sorry, it's not Casablanca.
Yeah,
like we're like.
What? It's like,
Yeah.
well, what's the mask's motivation? It's like the point is that
Yeah.
there isn't one, or that like it's anarchy and chaos, and that he speaks in these quips. Like that's the whole point. Is that this character is not does not have the depth that Stanley does. That's what. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? The special effects are, well, eye-popping, even though you've already seen most of them. Even though you've already seen most of them in the trailer. And late in the story, the filmmakers pull off a coup. The mask slips onto the face of Stanley's dog, who discovers the happy beastie within. The sequence has an escalating, can you top this quality that's mostly missing from the rest of the picture. Yeah, it's called the climax. Yeah,
that happens, right? That happens in the shootout.
It happens at the end of the movie because they have to top what you've seen in the movie previously. So saying like, why didn't they do this in the rest of the movie is kind of, have you ever seen a movie?
because structure. Because
yeah. That's mostly missing from the rest of the picture. Aside from its visual gimmickry, the mask is cheesy in a low-budget, stitched together sort of way. It seems like a half a movie, or more accurately, a living cartoon character in search of a movie. Of course, Carrey now has the clout to find a vehicle worthy of his hyperactive goofiness. When he does, we'll see if he's truly a jester for our time, or simply the moron of the moment.
Wow. Okay, so my thing is always just kind of like one hit is a coincidence, two is a pattern. Like two within a year of each other is unheard of. Like that's a meteoric arrival to Hollywood.
Quick reminder, it was a budget of $23 million. It made $351
million. What the fuck? That's so much money. That's
his second movie in 1 year.
Second movie ever, and he one like 150 times X'd the budget on that movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Like
I can give you the answer to this question. I know you're curious if Jim Carrey's the moron of the moment. He isn't. I can tell you that right now.
He could have made not a single good movie for the rest of his life, and he would have been around for another 15 years, hoping that they hit that jackpot one more time. Jesus Christ, $300 million on a $20 million budget. Yeah, this was a phenomenon. Like to be like, we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, name another actor in the modern era who was able to come in guns blazing, leading two movies back to back in the same year, making that kind of return on investment. And not just like making that return on investment, but really kind of like being the all people talked on the playground. And you wouldn't go like I think we're savvy enough now to go like, that's the new thing. Got it.
Yeah.
Like to not go like, well, hold on. Like
we'll see.
All right. So moving on to Dumb and Dumber. Ready for this to break your brain? On a budget of $17 million. It made $247 million worldwide.
This guy made people over $500 million in 1 year.
It only cost $17 million to make Dumb and Dumber.
So adding them all up on a combined budget of about a shade under $60 million. This guy,
again, what it would cost to get one known actor in a movie now.
He made the studios that produce these movies over $500 million.
I think he's here to stay.
We'll see if this guy has staying power.
Dumb and Dumber was released December 16th, 1994. which means Jim Carrey was really quiet for 5 months. five whole months in 1994. No Jim Carrey movies.
Dead air from Carrey.
What was he doing? What was he up to? Believe it or not, number 1 at the box office, in front of the Santa Claus.
Oh boy. Okay.
Disclosure, Drop Zone, Speechless, and The Lion King. Washington Post, December 16th, 1994. An exorable catalog of duty jokes, Dumb and Dumber is an abominable comedy.
Stop, you've already stopped. We're not playing Scrabble. Like, shut the fuck up with this shit. Nobody uses the word exorable. Nobody uses that word.
No.
So don't write it. Like, nobody knows what it means. Don't write that word down and then ask someone to publish it for you. Like, that's so insane to me.
First of all, not for nothing, before we get too into this, Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. It is, it's my favorite of the 3 that we're discussing here today. It is absolutely phenomenal. If I had to pick a favorite line, again, I think I've told you this in the past. My favorite thing in the world is understated moments in over-the-top movies. Mm-hmm. Anything that's like where they just pull back a little bit for no reason. They've made it to Aspen and they're fighting, or they haven't started fighting yet. But he goes, "Oh, you want these extra gloves? My hands are getting sweaty." And he's like, "You've had extra gloves this whole time." And Jim Carrey just goes, "Yeah, we're in the Rockies." Yeah. And it's not like, it's just like, yeah, we're in the Rockies. Like duh.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's chef's kiss. Just the greatest thing ever.
100%. Okay. No, I mean,
do you have a favorite line?
Yeah, like you said, this one tops it for me too. It's tough to pick, but hey guys, big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. Is
the pause. Yeah. It's not the line. It's the pause. He goes,
"See you later."
All right. Well, see you later.
Did you know? I don't know if this is apocryphal or not, but I had heard somewhere that those guys were not supposed to be in the movie. That they would not they would not move. They would not leave. He was just supposed to walk in and walk out, and they refused to leave. So he went through and like did that bit and then went in, and then they ran over to him and were like, "Sign this. You got to sign the release." That was like, "We need you in this movie now." That was gold. Like
that's hilarious. But the more heartbreaking thing is, think about how hard it is. Some actors work to like get SAG.
I know.
And to like get a line in a movie.
Some people have SAG thrust upon them, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the like in Being John Malkovich, the guy who throws the beer can at John Malkovich and says, like, "Fuck you, Malkovich," and throws the beer can at him. That wasn't supposed to happen in the movie. That guy was an extra who was sitting around all day, and they were really drinking those beers. And he did that on one of the takes and was like, "Well, I got fired." And Spike Jonze was like, "That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I will sponsor you for SAG so that gets into the movie." And that's how that guy got his SAG card. He got wasted and threw a beer can at John Malkovich.
Fuck you, Malkovich. Wow.
But yeah, that's from what I read. I have no confirmation, obviously, but that was not written or scripted or anything. That was just Jim Carrey being fucking hilarious.
This is neither here nor there, but I have to talk about it. There was something about early Jim Carrey movies where you confused me as a child because you cast actors who looked too much like other actors. In The Mask, the main, not the main villain, but like the big boss is not Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Looks too much like Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci adjacent. Yeah.
To 11-year-old Dave, I'm like, what happened to Joe Pesci? In Dumb and Dumber, the main bad guy, Charlie Rocket, to 11-year-old Dave looks exactly like Jeff Daniels. They have the same jawline. I was like, why is Jeff Daniels now? Why is Harry also the bad guy?
I think that's just because they're both handsome drama actors. I just pulled a picture up of Charles Rocket. He does look a lot like Jeff.
When I'm 11, I'm like, you
he
can't
looks
have
like
two people with that jawline.
A weird mix of Jeff Daniels and Rob Lowe, if that makes any sense.
100%. And it's just this kind of thing where you're like, as a kid, I'm still learning shapes.
I just finished Object Permanence. I can't be.
Yeah, you can't.
When did Jeff Daniels get a haircut and get competent? That's not.
Why? Like, how is he on the phone with Swanson? Like, if they're also on the road trip to find her. I'm realizing now. I do remember what my favorite part of the entire movie is. It cannot be topped. It's when Mary Swanson they're saved at the end, and her husband pulls up and comes out and just starts like hugging her, and Lloyd just fantasizes, he's got a gun,
Yeah,
and just starts shooting. And then just goes, Lloyd, huh?
Yeah.
Just the idea of like ruining all your goodwill by just
throwing out
a gun and just shooting him.
Man.
It's just
perfect.
right.
It really is.
I remember very hard. I remember very specifically in the theater watching Dumb and Dumber and laughing so hard that I dropped my nachos on the floor and not even caring because I was laughing so hard.
On the box. Nachos droppingly funny. I still to this day hope to have enough courage or like enough of a like who gives a shit to ask a waiter what is the soup of the day, praying or sorry, what is the soup du jour, praying that they'll say it's the soup of the day, and I will 100% say that's good. That sounds good. I'll have that. It's such a Fairley Brothers line, and it's so beautiful.
Now, do you care if that happens? Are you doing it because you hope you're in the company of somebody who will?
It's not for anybody. No. It's not. It's for me. It's just for me. Hopefully, it's for the waiter, but it's mostly a purely selfish pursuit. The idea of doing that. But yeah, that line always hits good. That's just the dad jokes that just live rent free in your brain. But I also the last line that always stuck in my head is just, and it's not even a bit, but just kick his ass, Seabass is
kick his ass, Seabass.
Always, whenever anything comes up where there's a fight, in the back of my head I hear kick his ass, Seabass.
But again, when you need an archetype like that, I think the Farrelly brothers like perfected. I don't know how they did it, but they perfected the idea in a kid's mind of like, what is a villain? Mm-hmm. A villain is a mean trucker at a truck stop when you're on a road trip. Yeah. Who nobody will care if they just beat the shit out of you.
And his name is Seabass. Like that.
His name is Seabass. Yeah. Okay. Aside from its tastelessness and dawdling pace, what the fuck are you talking about? The movie's chief problem is the lackluster chemistry between leading lummoxes Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
They crush it. It's the ultimate buddy movie. It's like the ultimate buddy movie.
No, I'm sorry. Did you not hear that there was lackluster chemistry between the two?
They are so perfect for each other. Mm-hmm. They're great together. Jim Carrey apparently fought tooth and nail to make sure Jeff Daniels got this job because he was like, "This is the guy I want to do this with."
It's perfect. Carrey, with a bowl haircut and a chipped tooth, brings a Jerry Lewisian look to the role of Lloyd, an ignoramus who persuades his slow-witted roommate Harry, Daniels, to drive to Aspen. More to be pitied than laughed at, the unemployed, nearly indigent friends set out for Colorado in Harry's van. The movie is primarily a yawningly paced series of bad jokes and worse acting. And its characters are no more complex than balloon animals. I mean, yeah, like every comedy in the mid-90s, the other characters are a little broad.
And it's also like a Farrelly Brothers movie. Like, this is an established brand. This is a specific type of movie. This is what you're gonna get. This, I mean, we say this a lot, but like, for God's sake, like, understand what you're walking into when you're about to watch a movie, and you will not be disappointed by this movie.
I still can't believe how much you blew my mind with reminding me that movie trailers exist. I can't. There's no excuse why.
No one's surprised about these movies. Yeah.
Do movie reviewers, is that like a thing that we just didn't know, that like they're by law not able to watch a trailer before a movie? That's the only thing that makes sense to justify why they're like, why is this movie this way? Toilet humor? In Lloyd's case, it also happens that he's not especially likable. To make a little extra cash for the trip, he sells Harry's dead parakeet to the blind child next door. A mean-spirited scamp as well as a cheat, he makes Harry the butt of his lame pranks, which include feeding the oaf a bottle of laxative. Yeah, that's what's the evil edge. The fact that Harry, it's every cartoon duo you've ever seen. They're both idiots, but one of them is the conniving, I've got a plan, and the other is like, duh, okay. And that's what's great. The fact when Lloyd gives him the laxative and he's driving back on the scooter and he's like, ah, and he's like laughing, that maniacal evil side is awesome.
Yeah,
it separates them.
It's what gives them their chemistry, literally. Like, it's how they play off of each other. One of them is oafish and the other has a kind of a conniving edge, but they're both dumb. Like, there's a selfishness and a selflessness that creates their dynamic. Like, Harry is helpful. Lloyd is this is all about getting what Lloyd wants. So yeah, like, he is selfish and has an edge and does some kind of evil things in this movie.
Because otherwise they're the same character. I think you explain it perfectly in the scene when they're reading the newspaper and they like establish that like Lloyd can't read and Harry can. That is telling you, like, don't think too hard about like how each one is dumb. Just know that like they cover for each other. One of them is going to be able to help the other, but like don't try to figure out what the boundaries are.
And then also, I always thought of that scene as like a kind of nice little symbiosis kind of thing. That like, they need each other because one of them can read and the other one like does not know how to get from A to B without like a guy with a plan, you know, like, they work off of each other and require each other. Between the two of them, they're one barely functioning person.
Hold on to your butts. What the situation calls for, though, is not a butt, but a comic foil. Both actors are playing the same characters.
Nope.
No, you're contradicting literally what you said in the previous paragraph.
Yeah, nope.
That Harry is the butt of the lame pranks,
and Lloyd is
mean-spirited. Yeah, you're literally
the exact opposite.
Did you read what you wrote before? And none of the supporting cast reacts to them as if they were the least bit peculiar. Yeah, you can't because the movie wouldn't happen.
Right. I think what they're trying to say is when you have a dope you need a straight man there to constantly bounce off of to show you how stupid someone is. And the point of this movie, or one of the beauties of this movie, is to show no, you don't.
Mhm.
There is comedy in two idiots amplifying each other.
Yeah.
There is no explanation of who is dumb and who is dumber. The point is that they're both. And the environment provides the foil. The environment is the straight man reality. It's the guys who stand there speechlessly as he says big gulps, huh?
Both actors are playing the same characters,
Nope.
and none of the supporting cast react to them as if they're the least bit peculiar. That's, again, the unsung heroes are the people. They are reacting the way they need to in a movie that's starring Jim Carrey. Because the plot has to keep going, the world has to keep rolling, and no one can come in and put him in a loony bin. He has to exist. They do the right amount of like.
Yeah, they give
what do you mean?
A lot of those, just enough, and then they drive the plot along. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean, nice set of Hooters I have here? like they are reacting. They just can't go like, what the fuck is your problem? Like they can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just even from like the actual kind of other characters in the main cast down to like the guy who gets the breath mint sprayed in his face, who just all he has to do is that, and then is gone. Like grounds that entire bit as because they do it once and there's no one there, and it's just funny. What elevates that joke is when he does it directly into somebody else's face, and we immediately get to move on from. It's just so good.
First-time director Peter Farrelly, who wrote this tawdle with his brother Bob and Bennett Yellen, hasn't the sense to draw a contrast between the boobs and the normal world around them. Nope.
We just finished explaining why that's not true.
Yep. Then again, maybe he was afraid to turn the lens away from the camera hogging Carrey. Suffice to say, the future doesn't look bright for the Farrellys, who previously specialized in writing for sophisticated TV comics such as Paul Reiser and Jerry Seinfeld.
The other thing, too, is this guy also has the benefit of having seen that this movie made, $200 million on a $20 million budget? Yeah. Like, he also can see that, and it's like, these guys are going to get another few movies to prove themselves.
Whether or not you like them, the future looks bright, dude. Carrey was formerly one of Fox's stars and has made his reputation as a regular on In Living Color, which grew cruder as it ran out of fuel.
Did he put the in?
I don't understand.
Wrote
He wrote It never ran out of gas, which passed there as here for comedy.
What?
I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get
That's
it.
not how he ended the article, is it?
Yeah, no, I think he had a word quota that he had to.
What the fuck was that?
Let me read that again. Carrey was formerly on one of Fox's stars and made his reputation as a regular on In Living Color, which grew cruder as it ran out of fuel. It never ran out of gas, which passed there as here for comedy.
It feels like he was trying to avoid the ran out of gas thing, but also jumped into a which passed gas joke as well. Like it's so confusing. It's such a strange way to end no reference to the fact that this guy could not be hotter in 1994. Nope. He's still being compared to In Living Color, not going like, this is the third movie that Jim Carrey's been in this year, and the boy can't miss. Like, he's still going to get told, like, well, In Living Color had some fart jokes in it, so that's a failure to edit, is what that is. These movies aren't for everybody. They're not even, like, for, they're not great in any mood. They're slapstick. it's a specific brand of silliness that you got to be coming in knowing you're going to get. Fortunately, everybody who has ever heard of movies knows that a Jim Carrey movie, early Jim Carrey, is going to be that. These people, like we've talked about, had the benefit of previews.
If you add like what are the equivalent movies where like I don't get it, I don't understand? Maybe like the Twilight movies, where it's like I acknowledge I can see their popularity, but I don't fucking get
That's
it.
immediately
and they're not
the
for me.
difference, Dave. That's immediately the difference.
Right,
Right there, the start of your description of that movie is the difference. Is you go, they're
The
not
first
for
thing
me.
I said, yeah.
They're not for me.
Yeah.
They're not my cup of tea, but I see why other people like them.
If for a second I thought that I deserved a paycheck for going, this is bad. I'm not going to talk about why. I'm not going to bring up other movies that did it better. I'm not going to, use any sort of historical context whatsoever. I'm just going to say that, like, I don't like it. Ergo, what are they doing? And completely bypass the money they're making in my review. I don't think I deserve a paycheck.
No, you go, that one was not earned. Yeah, that was
I haven't done the job. The job is to go, wow, this amazing thing, this amazing tidal wave of popularity is happening. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about what type of person will enjoy it.
or
and
why
not fucking
why
shit
do
on
they?
them.
Why it's clearly popular. Why do people like this?
And I'll even give you like in the mindset of like to use the Twilight example, like, man, I would really love something that does capture this kind of sci-fi genre, but had a little bit more meat on the bones and didn't treat Bella like a victim who's just being gaslit. Like there's kind of like it might be like even what I just said is more detail to explain my issue with the Twilight movies than any of these
100%.
reviewers dared to because again, we're talking about a time when it's like, well, we are the kingmakers. So we don't have to explain ourselves. We don't have to show our work. Nobody's expecting us to.
And it's also, I really do think that a large part of this, especially for these movies, not something we've experienced a lot because we haven't reviewed or looked at a lot of reviews for slapstick comedies. But I think for these in particular, there's an element of this is lowbrow and therefore beneath me. No one will respect my opinion if I say that these movies are good for a specific audience. I have no choice but to pan this because I review art, and this, sir, is not art. And it's like, no, you are wrong in that assessment. Art is what there is no way of doing. Like, criticism needs to allow for all art, otherwise you're just picking and choosing. You don't get to be a movie reviewer and cut out genres, then you're useless.
It's mind-blowing. I would love to actually look at the numbers, like, because they talk as if, well, of course you came to me. And I would love to actually look at the numbers and see, like, what was your circulation? What actually? How many people were actually reading?
Yeah, just how many tastes were you making, like, sir?
You are talking like Jim Carrey cannot be a star until you give the okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but like, how many hundreds of people read your review, dude?
Who actually read this review? Yeah. Time for everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. Reviews and a lie. That's the theme song I just made up right now. This is 2 reviews and a lie. I will read, good sir Dave, 3 reviews that are 1-star reviews from RottenTomatoes.com. However, not as all as it seems. For one of these reviews was in fact written by yours truly. If Dave is able to correctly guess which one I wrote, I will have to post it on Rotten Tomatoes as my personal review of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh,
So
I'm so excited. You've gotten me so many
I know
times
I've,
that I am
I've ruined
desperate.
your Rotten Tomatoes.
People are like, this guy has
Can I be
horrible
honest?
taste in
I'm
movies.
rooting for you on this one. I want you to get this one.
All right.
These ones are good. Honestly, I had a couple to choose from here. They were great. Okay. After 10 minutes of relentless, hyper deformed, hyper excessive facial expressions, I had to stop the view because I fell in a true physical discomfort. Sorry to say that. I loved Carrey's acting in other movies and respect him! Exclamation point, comma. But in his first movies, he was unbearable to me. Luckily, later he found a balance between acting and unleashing the greatest number of strange faces per minute.
Okay.
That's review 1. Review
Okay.
2. Ace Ventura has some funny moments, but I got so bored of watching Jim Carrey make stupid faces that I had to watch this in several sittings. I also kept waiting for his detective skills to have to do with animals, and it never really does. He knows as much about soundproof glass as he does about dolphins. By the end, I was ready for it to be over. Did not expect Dan Marino to actually be in the movie, though. That was funny. And then there is... Ace Ventura is a pretty ridiculous movie. It has its moments. For one, when the mystery isn't all slapstick comedy, it can be pretty interesting. I felt myself curious what was going to happen next on a few occasions. It's just ridiculous, though, and often doesn't take itself seriously. Much of the humor just isn't that funny, and the movie feels very uninspired. It's also kind of forgettable, and I feel no need to see it again or even watch the sequel. Some intriguing parts are in it, but it's a dull mystery movie. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective gets 2 out of 5 stars. For the record, this is someone who gave it a 1-star review.
Oh man, this sucks. I don't know if this was what happens when I read mine to you, but my first thought is like, it's the first one. Then you read the second 100%. One, I'm like, it's the second one. And then the third one,
every
like,
single one is they're special snowflakes. They all make sense for their own reasons.
First one I thought was you because I can't imagine a review that stupid using the word relentless.
Okay.
The second one I think is you because the idea that he doesn't use his detective skills for like animal stuff is too good of a point.
Okay.
It's too smart of a point. But then the third one is so weirdly general.
It was almost non-committal.
Like you had to write it last minute because you were running out of time, and you're like, I can't use any specifics.
It's the movie feels uninspired.
Say, yeah, there were some good moments, but then also some not good moments.
Yeah.
Can you read the second one again?
Absolutely, be my pleasure. Ace Ventura has some funny moments, but I got so bored of watching Jim Carrey make the stupid faces that I had to watch this in several sittings. I also kept waiting for his detective skills to have to do with animals, and it never really does. He knows as much about soundproof glass as he does about dolphins. By the end, I was ready for it to be over. Did not expect Dan Marino to actually be in the movie, though. That was funny.
Again. Oh, man. All right. Final answer, number 2.
That's absolutely right. That is the one that I wrote.
Yes!
That is the one that I wrote.
You enjoyed Dan Marino, but...
I love me some Dan. I also genuinely do believe the thing about he knows as much about soundproof glass as he does about dolphins.
Is a good point.
I was always like, how does he know that about that kind of glass just by looking at that
He's
glass?
legitimately like, he could be like a regular detective. Like, there's no reason why he has to just do animals.
There's no reason whatsoever. He's a genuinely good detective.
Yeah, they were all three of those reviews could have 100% been you. I just thought it's too good of a point. I've read so many of these 1-star reviews at this point that to read one and have something go like, oh, that is actually a really good. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
is so outside the realm of possibility.
That is the most unbelievable part of these reviews.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so funny. Oh, okay. Well, that has been our triple feature of Jim Carrey. Please like, subscribe, leave us a review, tell us what you thought, give us your fake review, 1-star reviews for The Mask, Ace Ventura, or Dumb and Dumber. Please, we'd love to read them out on the show. We've been getting a lot more feedback from the episodes. I appreciate it so much. You can find me on davecolumbo.com, DVD Columbo on Instagram, and Dave Columbo on TikTok. Please tell a friend about the show because we have such a blast. And until next time, this has been Dave.
I'm Mick. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody. This has been Off the Mark.